Hello there. So tonight's podcast is all about how I introduce essential oils to my pets. So I hope you can get some ideas about how to use them with your animals. And essential oils can be so beneficial for so many different reasons. And if you want to learn more about them specifically, then do check the show notes, because I will have a link to my free ebook, which is a doctor's guide to getting started using natural solutions for you and your pets. So if you're new here, my name is Dr. Hélène. I'm an emergency medicine doctor. I'm also a vet certified animal aromatherapy specialist and behaviorist. And I love to help people use essential oils in their life in an integrative way, whether you've got an anxious dog, or you've got an old dog, or you're feeling a bit ancient, or so many different reasons, whatever. So essential oils, introducing them to your pets. Now, one of the things that a lot of people might have heard of if you've been looking at essential oils is something called self-selection or zoopharmacognosy. And this is where you allow the dog to make a decision or the cat as to whether or not they are going to want to sniff the oil and whether or not that's what they choose. And then based on that, it's, that's what we offer them. Now, my big issue with self-selection, and I think it's got a lot of benefits, is that we can't always rely on our pets to make the best decisions for themselves. Because if that was the case, dogs wouldn't ingest chocolate, cats wouldn't ingest antifreeze. You can see where I'm going with this. And I think sometimes we do need to advocate for them. And I've got dogs that really love essential oils and are always giving me a good response. And I've got other dogs that are just like, not interested. But actually, I know if I use a particular blend with them, then they're actually going to be calmer in the car, or they're going to feel better, or they're going to move better because I've popped it on their joints. So, I think we do need to do a bit of both at certain times. And in some cases, I don't do self-selection at all, because I know that these particular oils are going to be beneficial for my dog, and I'm just going to put them on them, or I'm going to diffuse them or something like that. But if you want to start with doing self-selection, and I think it's a really useful tool to do, the first thing you must do is always keep the lid on. Our dogs live in a world of scent. Their sense of smell is so much more developed than ours. So we have 5 to 6 million scent receptors. Our dogs and cats have about 200 to 300 million. We can't even possibly imagine how they see the world through their sense of smell. It's amazing. And so we don't ever want to overwhelm them. And so we always want to offer an oil to them with the lid on. Okay, so if it's a new oil, crack it, but put the lid back on and offer it. We don't want to chase them around the house. We just want to be very calm and just offer it to them and see what they do. Maybe they'll back off. Maybe they'll come and sniff it. Maybe they'll just be neutral to it. I usually take neutral as it's an okay one to do. Maybe they want to sniff it again. Maybe they want to bite the bottle. Look at how they're engaging with it. Maybe they'll immediately sniff it and put their nose and hide their nose away, and that's because they don't like it. So lots of different ways you can look at their body language, and then based on what they like, you can then put it on them, or you can pop some in the diffuser. Typically, if I'm using something for anxiety, I might apply a little bit diluted to their chest or ear tipping or down the spine. Loads of different ways to use them. And you should always dilute them properly for your particular pet. There's a rough guide. If your dog's over 10 kilograms or your pet's over 10 kilograms, I do 1 drop in 5 mils of carrier oil. So I usually use fractionated coconut oil because it's non-greasy. Well, allegedly non-greasy. It's an oil after all. It's still got a little bit of grease there. But, and if they're under 10 kilograms, then I would do 1 drop in a tablespoon of fractionated coconut oil. So the smaller the animal, the more dilute you use. Now, one of the things I'll often do as well is I'll make up in dilutions as well. So this is one of the ones. This is actually lemongrass I use for one of my dogs with arthritis, and I have them on little droppers, and this is all pre-diluted, so I have it all ready to go because that's one I'm going to use a lot of. And I'll just either with this I will drop it on the back. I drop it that down her spine just with that little dropper, And then I'll also massage it in, and so that's all really, really nice for her and nice and soothing. Other ways you can use them is in a diffuser. So I will typically always use a water-based diffuser. So this is where you have a water reservoir, and you're going to drop, say in 100 mils of water, you might drop 3 to 4 drops, depending on the size of the room, maybe up to 6 drops, always on an intermittent setting. So that's typically 5 minutes off, on, 5 minutes off. And always leave the door open so that your pet can escape from the room when you're diffusing, so that they're not getting overwhelmed by it. Now, what if your pet doesn't want the oils? Well, this is where you do have to advocate for them, I feel, because, one of my dogs, Rowan, he would never really select oils. I remember one time I was sunbathing and I'd been putting a peppermint-based blend on one of my dogs who had arthritis. Peppermint is safe for dogs, by the way, just in case, because I know there's a lot of poor information out there that says peppermint's not safe. It is safe. And he immediately came up and nuzzled me, and I was like, oh, do you want some peppermint? And I knew that he had hip dysplasia, so I started putting it on him. But other than that, he very rarely ever came up to me to have an oil. But I knew they benefited him. And particularly, he didn't like traveling. So if before we got in the vehicle, I offered him an oil, he would reject it. If when we were sat in the vehicle, he would reject it. But the minute I started driving away, he'd start to get all anxious. And I knew that he needed them. So I would put oils on him. I would diffuse them in the vehicle before we started driving, in anticipation of him needing them. And so there's lots of different ways that you might use them. So you know what's coming up. So for example, my dog that's got separation anxiety, she might not want an oil before I leave the house, but I know that actually she's going to feel a bit stressed once I've left. So I'm going to diffuse the oils that I've been using to help calm her down, diffusing the ones that I'm using at night to create an odor of familiarity. And they also work on different neurotransmitters such as serotonin to help relax her and make her feel, comforted as well. So they are different ways. And the same with cats as well. When I've got 4 cats, and when I've introduced cats into the home, I've used essential oils to do that, and I've used that with scent as well. So one of the things I've done when I had Mufasa is one of my cats from Iraq. I actually sent a blanket out to the shelter in Iraq with all our scent on and with balance on, which is a blend that I use. It's a calming and grounding blend. And happened was he had this blanket with scent of the other cats, the dogs, and this and he had this beautiful, we had a little interruption with the recording just in case it's gone a bit funny and I'm sounding a bit disjointed. The recording just stopped. I don't know what happened. But I thought, let's just carry on. But so basically he had this aroma of this oil and the dogs and the cats and me. And so that actually when he came over here, we weren't unfamiliar to him. And then what I would do is I would diffuse the essential oil blend that was really calming and grounding for him, so that also helped him. So he had this aroma of familiarity, but he also had an essential oil blend that was diffusing that actually helped him feel calm because of the constituents that are in it. It's quite a wood-based one, so it's very good for calming and grounding. So really, really beneficial there. And with cats, typically they will ingest stuff because they will groom themselves. So you do need to be mindful what you are diffusing, because that will land on their coat and they will ingest it. But pretty much there's lots of different ones that can, and they can have citrus as well. It's incorrect to say citrus oils are toxic to cats. They're not. Limonene, which is one of the constituents within essential citrus oils, is toxic to cat fleas. But actually, it is safe to use around cats. And my cats love citrus oils. I diffuse a lot of citrus in the house because I love it. It's one of my favorites. But it is really safe. And citrus are very, very good for calming anxious dogs and cats. And us. It's very uplifting. So just some little ways there. So if you've got any questions and you'd like to learn a bit more about how to use oils, as I said, do download my free ebook. And I'm going to link another ebook in the comments if you're particularly looking for help with anxious pets. I've got a little aromatherapy guide as well for calming your anxious. Link that in the show notes. You're going to come and say, going to do a little bit of self-selection. There he is. This is he going to sniff it? Oh, but I've got Lily. Lily, this is one of It's my little spaniel. No. So did you see, she didn't want it. She jumped up, but she didn't want it. So Mufasa liked it. She didn't want it. And that's fine. And that's what we want to look at. And we want to see the different reactions. But as I said, sometimes I will use that blend with her because I know that ultimately that will calm her when I'm out of the house. So she might not want it when I'm in the house, but I know when I leave that it's actually going to be very beneficial for her. So sometimes we need to listen to what they're saying, and sometimes we do need to advocate for our dogs as well. So as always, if you've got any questions, do let me know. Don't forget to hit the follow button or subscribe, depending on what platform you're watching from. And check out the links in my show notes and download my free ebooks. And let me know what you want me to talk about next. If you've got any particular topics that you want me to cover, please let me know either in the comments or you can shoot me an email. Stay safe, stay well. Bye.